The first night I stepped inside, I knew something was wrong. The silence wasn't normal silence. It was watching me. I've worked a lot of odd jobs in my life. Warehouse loader, night janitor, tech support. But this job, it was different from the start. I was 29, broke, living out of my car. Then I saw this ad online. Security technician needed. High pay, government contract, must relocate. I clicked without thinking. The money was good, real good, too good. They flew me out to a private airstrip, then drove me for hours through the desert. No signs, no landmarks, just sand, hills, and sky. Eventually, we reached a metal hatch in the ground. No buildings, no fences, just a steel door like something out of a sci-fi movie. That was the entrance to the bunker. Before I went in, they handed me a stack of papers, all full of legal stuff, NDAs, clearance levels, rules. I didn't read them. I just signed. I needed the money. And honestly, I didn't think twice. That was my first mistake. Inside, everything felt wrong. The air was too clean. The lights buzzed just a little too loud. The halls were white, long, and stretched forever in every direction. No windows, no sounds, just that low hum from the overhead lights. My room was small. Bed, desk, computer. One dull red phone that only rang once a week and only if it was urgent. The walls were paper thin, but the bunker itself, solid steel. Every door needed a key card. Some doors had signs, others didn't. But there was one door that stood out. Room 39. It had no nameplate, no label, just a thick black door with a red scanner next to it, the kind you would see in high-security labs. It was the only door that had two scanners, side by side. Every other room had one. During orientation, a guy named Ritter gave me the tour. He was older, gray beard, quiet eyes. We walked past room 39, and I slowed down. My gut twisted a little. I didn't know why. I asked him, "What's in there?" He didn't stop walking, just said, "You don't go near that one. It's above your clearance." Why? Because I said so, that's why. I thought he was joking. He wasn't. Later that night, I asked someone else, a skinny tech named Harris. He leaned in and whispered, "Room 39 stays locked, always. Don't ask, don't knock, don't even stare too long." He looked serious, pale, like just saying it made him nervous. The rest of the place was simple. I worked the night shift mostly. Checked systems, logged entries, made rounds through the halls, but I always stopped before room 39. My feet would just freeze. There were other strange things. Every hallway looked the same. If I didn't mark turns on my little notepad, I'd get lost. The lights flickered more near room 39, just a little, enough to notice. Once, I passed it and felt something. Not a breeze, not heat, something else, like pressure, as if something was behind that door, waiting, listening. I started asking around again, but no one wanted to talk. Ritter ignored me, Harris just shook his head, others just walked away. Then I found the rule book. It was tucked under my mattress one morning. I didn't put it there. Plain black cover, just said, Operations, red level. Inside were typed pages, no page numbers, no author, no dates, just rules. Rule 1, room 39 is permanently sealed. Rule 2, no staff is to attempt access even with clearance. Rule 3, do not discuss room 39 during work hours. Rule 4, no surveillance devices may be placed near room 39. Rule 5, if the door opens on its own, evacuate. Rule 6, if you hear knocking from inside room 39, you did not hear it. I read it 3 times. My hands were shaking by the end. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't a prank. That room was something else. Something bad. After that, I started to feel it more. The pull. Every time I passed that door on patrol, I'd glance over. My chest would tighten. My ears would ring. I swear I heard a soft thump one night, like something shifting behind it. Then, one night, I stood right in front of it. I don't know why. My feet took me there like I was sleepwalking. The hallway was dead silent. The air felt heavy. My flashlight flickered even though I had changed the batteries that morning. I stared at the scanners. Both had tiny red lights glowing, waiting, like eyes. I stepped closer. My breath fogged up even though the air wasn't cold. Something inside me whispered, "Open it." My hand twitched. My ID badge felt warm. The red scanner blinked, just once. I stepped back fast. That's when I knew. Room 39 wasn't just a room. It was something else. And it wanted out. I tried to laugh it off later. Told myself it was stress, just nerves. But I knew better. And here's the thing no one tells you about working in a place like this. The rules? They're not just rules. They're warnings. And the first one is the most important. Don't open room 39. Ever. But I didn't listen. And now I think it knows my name.
After my first week in the bunker, things started to blur. Time didn't feel right down there. There were no windows, no clocks, just the same cold lights, the same buzzing hum, and the same long white halls that made you feel like you were walking in circles. Sometimes I wasn't even sure if it was morning or night. My shifts were long, quiet, too quiet. I'd start at what they told me was 6 p.m., end at 6 a.m., but it felt like longer. I walked the halls, checked doors, made sure the computer logs were fine. No one ever visited. No one ever left. We didn't even have a break room, just little sleeping quarters in the mess hall, which had the same 3 meals reheated from the storage freezer. Once a week, a supply drone came down through the roof hatch. It dropped off food, water, meds. But no one ever came with it. Just boxes, always sealed. No stamps, no labels, no notes. It was like we were cut off from the rest of the world. And maybe we were. I started to notice more of the odd rules they never talked about during orientation. Little signs posted in strange places, taped to walls, slid under doors. One said, "No cameras allowed near Corridor D." Another, "Radios must be shut off past 2 a.m. And my favorite, "Do not remain in Sector 5 past midnight. No exceptions." I asked Ritter about the signs. He just grunted. Standard protocols. What happens if you break one? He looked at me, dead in the eye. You don't break them. That was the end of that. Harris was the only one who talked a little. He looked worse every day. Pale, thin, dark circles under his eyes. He once told me, "If you ever hear music, ignore it." Music? He nodded slowly. There's no music down here, so if you hear it, it ain't real. I laughed, trying to play it off, but he didn't smile. He was serious. Then he muttered something I didn't catch. Something like, "It hums for the ones who listen." I asked him to repeat it, but he shook his head and walked away. That's when I really started watching the others. There were only 7 of us on the night team, and we didn't see the day team, ever. Some said there wasn't one, that the place only needed a night crew. Others said they came and went when we were asleep, but I never saw them, not once. One of the other guys, Pike, stopped showing up for dinner. I asked about him. Ritter said he got reassigned, but Pike's room was still locked from the inside. His boots were still outside the door, his badge was still on the board, and no one else talked about it, like he never existed. That's when I started hearing it. The humming. It wasn't loud, just soft, like someone tuning a radio 2 rooms away. A low, steady hum, almost musical, but not quite. And it came from room 39. At first, I thought it was the lights, maybe a machine, but when I got close, the hum stopped. Every time, like it knew I was there. One night, I turned the corner and the humming cut out mid-note. I stood there, frozen. The hallway was empty. Room 39 sat at the end, its black door still locked. Nothing moved. No wind. No sounds. But I swear, the door looked wet. Just for a second, like it had been breathing. I told myself I was imagining things, that it was stress, sleep deprivation. But the next night, I heard it again. This time, I walked closer. And as I neared the door, my flashlight dimmed, just a little. And then I heard a soft, sharp click from behind me. I turned. There was a door open down the hall. It wasn't room 39. It was one of the side rooms. Room 14, I think. Storage. But I hadn't opened it, and no one else was around. I stood there for a minute. My skin felt cold. The hallway stretched behind me like it was growing longer. I walked toward the open door. It was dark inside. No lights, no sounds, just rows of empty shelves. And something else. A shape in the far corner. I blinked. It was gone. I stepped back, shut the door, and returned to my patrol. Later, when I checked the logs, room 14 hadn't been accessed in over 3 weeks. I started writing everything down. Every weird sound, every flicker, every cold draft. My notebook filled up fast. One night, Ritter caught me scribbling during rounds. "What's that?" "Just notes." He stared at me hard. "Don't keep notes." "Why?" "Because it remembers who remembers." I didn't ask what that meant. After that, I kept my notebook hidden. A few days later, I noticed something else. The red scanner on room 39. It blinked. Just once. And I swear I heard something behind the door. A soft, slow breath, like something waiting. Something alive. I didn't tell anyone. What was I going to say? "Hey guys, I think the locked horror door might be breathing?" Yeah, that would go well. So I kept my mouth shut. But I started watching more closely. And the more I watched, the more it watched back.
At first, I thought the whispers were just in my head. It started small, like wind or static, so soft I could barely notice it. But always when I was near room 39, I'd be walking my rounds and I'd pass that black door and I'd hear it. A breath, a word, maybe 2. Never loud, just faint enough to make me stop and listen. I turned my head thinking someone was behind me, but the hallway would be empty. The lights would buzz like normal, but the air felt thick, like the kind of air you get right before a storm. Then one night, I heard it clear as day. A voice. It said, "Closer." I froze. I looked down at my feet. I was standing only 2 steps from room 39. My flashlight flickered, my throat tightened. "Hello?" I whispered. Nothing. No sound, no breath, just silence. But not normal silence. That heavy silence, the one that pushes down on you, the one that feels like it's watching. I backed away slowly. Every step felt like walking through mud. When I turned the corner, I ran. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, waiting, listening. Then just past 3 a.m., I heard it again. Not from the hallway, from inside the walls. It was faint, like someone whispering into the vent. But my vent didn't connect to anything. It was sealed shut, like everything else in that place. Still, the voice came through. I couldn't make out the words, but I could feel them. Sad, angry, starving. I buried my head under the pillow, but it didn't help. The voice wasn't outside anymore. It was in my head. The next morning, I went to Ritter. "Are you ever hear things at night?" I asked. He looked up from his breakfast, didn't speak at first. "Like what?" he said finally. "Like voices, whispering." He stared at me too long, then got up and walked away. Didn't say a word. Later that day, I saw Harris in the hallway. He looked worse, skin pale, lips dry, hand shaking. He grabbed my sleeve as I passed. "You heard it, didn't you?" I nodded. He pulled me into the storage room and shut the door. "It starts with whispers, then dreams, then..." He didn't finish. "What do you mean? What is it?" He leaned in close. His breath smelled like metal. Room 39 doesn't hold something. It feeds something. And if you listen long enough, it feeds on you too. Then he handed me something. A torn piece of paper. Looked like it had been ripped from a notebook. It was stained and wrinkled like it had been through a fire. Scrawled across it in shaky handwriting was 6 words. "Don't go near 39. It listens." No signature, just that. Later that night, I found a note in my locker. Different handwriting. Sharp, neat, clean. It sees who listens. That's all it said. No one else got a note. I checked. And that night, the whispers got louder. I passed room 39 and the voice didn't whisper this time. It said, "Let me out." Just like that. Calm, clear, male voice. Almost familiar. I ran back to my room, locked the door, turned off the light. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. At 3:11 a.m., I heard knocking. From inside the wall. 3 slow knocks. I held my breath. Then nothing. Silence. When I finally opened my eyes, it was morning, or whatever passed for morning down there. I went to the hallway. Everything looked normal, except room 39 had scratches on the wall next to the scanner. Long, deep ones, like claws or keys. I don't know. No one else seemed to notice, or maybe they did and were pretending not to. I tried asking Harris again, but he was gone. His room was locked. His name was wiped from the duty board. Even his shoes were gone. When I asked Ritter, he didn't even blink. "Who?" "Harris, from night shift." Don't know him. But he did. I knew he did. They were erasing him. And I knew I was next. Later that shift, Ritter pulled me aside. "You asked too many questions," he said. I opened my mouth, but he held up a hand. "This isn't a place for curiosity. You follow the rules, you do your job, that's it." I just want to know what's... He leaned close. You don't want to know. He turned and walked away. But I wasn't done. I went back to room 39. I stood there, staring at it. That thick black door, the scanners glowing red. I pressed my hand to the metal. It was warm. And then I heard it again. Clear, loud, right behind the door. Let me out. My knees almost gave out. It knew I was there. It was talking to me. That night, I didn't sleep again. And when I turned on the lights in my room, I saw something that made my stomach drop. Black stains on the walls, thin, branching lines like veins spreading out from the vent. They hadn't been there before. They looked alive. I packed my bag. I was gonna leave. I didn't care about the contract, the NDA, the money. But when I tried the main exit, the elevator didn't work. I called the admin line. No answer. I was trapped. And room 39 was still humming.
I started staying away from room 39 after that night. I avoided that hallway completely. If my rounds told me to go past it, I lied in the log, said I did, but I didn't. I wasn't ready to hear it again. I wasn't ready for it to say my name. But no matter how far I kept from it, I could still feel it, that hum, that pull. It was always in the background now, like a low drumbeat under my skin. Then, one night, everything changed. It was around 2:40 a.m. I was in Sector B checking panel logs. The lights overhead were flickering again. It had become normal by then. I almost didn't notice it anymore. But then I heard something over the intercom. A soft crackle, then a hiss, then silence. The intercom was only supposed to be used during drills or emergencies. No one said anything over it, ever. I stepped out into the hallway thinking maybe someone hit the wrong button. And then I saw him. A man, maybe mid-30s, walking down the corridor straight toward room 39. He was in uniform, one of the tech guys. I'd seen him before in the mess hall, but I didn't know his name. He wasn't walking fast, just steady, calm, like he'd done it 100 times. My heart started pounding. "Hey!" I called. He didn't stop. He didn't even look at me. I ran after him. My boots echoed on the floor. The humming grew louder with every step. "You're not supposed to go near that door!" Still nothing. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a badge, and swiped it. The first scanner turned green. He swiped again on the second scanner. Green. The door hissed. It opened just a crack. Then he slipped inside, and the door slammed shut behind him. I ran up, pounding my fist against the metal. "Hello? Can you hear me? Get out of there!" No answer. I checked my radio. Static. Tried the emergency line. Dead. I pulled up the access logs on the nearby panel. The door should have recorded an entry, but it didn't. No entry, no swipe, no name. Like it never happened. I went to security and pulled up the hallway camera. Feed was down. Malfunction error, code 39. I stared at that screen for a long time. Then I looked back at the hallway. The door was still sealed tight. No sound, no movement, nothing. I waited for hours. He never came back out. The next shift came in around 6 a.m.
I tried telling Ritter what I saw. He didn't even flinch. There's no one missing. Yes, there is. I saw him go into room 39. He leaned against the wall and folded his arms. You didn't see anything. I know what I saw. No, you don't. And if you keep talking like that, you'll be reassigned too. I froze. Reassigned. Just like Pike. Just like Harris. I left the office. I didn't say another word, but I knew what I saw. And it didn't stop there. That night, I passed room 39 again. Something had changed. There were shadows. Not on the floor. Not from the lights. Under the door. I stopped walking. There was movement. Something pacing back and forth. I could see it from the gap under the thick metal frame. Back and forth, like it was waiting for someone to open the door again. I held my breath. The humming was louder than ever. Then the lights overhead went out. Pitch black. My flashlight flicked on automatically. I pointed it at the door. The shadows were gone. I turned around, ready to run. That's when I heard it. A knock. Not on the door this time. From behind me. From inside the wall. I spun back and shined the light at the metal. Nothing there. But the knock came again. Louder. Slower. 3 hard thuds. My hands were shaking. Then the lights flickered back on. The hallway was empty. Everything looked normal. But I wasn't okay. Something was bleeding into the rest of the bunker. I could feel it. The others knew too. They didn't say anything, but I saw the way they moved. Quieter. Faster. Always looking over their shoulders. I started sleeping with my back to the wall, flashlight in hand. Then a message appeared on my computer screen one night. No sender, no subject, just a blank file. I opened it. Inside was a single line of text. It's still in there, but not for long. The file disappeared on its own after 5 seconds. I checked the system logs. No trace. That same night, the humming stopped. Just silence. But not the kind you want. This silence felt worse, like the space between heartbeats, like something holding its breath, waiting. I went to check room 39. The door looked the same, but the floor beneath it? Cracked. Thin lines spidered out from the bottom as if something had pushed against the concrete from below or underneath. I put my hand to the door. Cold now. No scanner lights. No hum. Just silence. And that's when I knew. That man didn't go into room 39. Room 39 went into him.
I didn't mean to break the rule. I really didn't. But when you're trapped underground, when everyone around you acts like ghosts, and when the silence starts pressing against your skull like a vice, curiosity doesn't feel like a choice anymore. It feels like survival. I started watching the power systems more closely. Every hallway, every room, every panel had its own readout, and room 39, it had its own feed too. One that wasn't on the main grid. I found it hidden in the back-end files of the system, like someone had buried it on purpose. Every night, around 3:33 a.m. exactly, the power around room 39 surged. Just a tiny spike, nothing that would trigger alarms, but it happened without fail. A little spike in energy that lasted 12 seconds. I logged it, watched it, tracked it for 6 nights in a row. Same time, same pattern.
On the 7th night, I made my decision. I stole a clearance badge from the supply room, one of the old ones no one used anymore. I had to modify it, override a few lines of code in the access registry, but eventually it worked. It was just past 3 a.m. The halls were quiet. Everyone asleep. I kept my flashlight off as I walked down the corridor, boots soft on the concrete floor. When I turned the corner, room 39 was waiting for me. The scanners were dark. No lights, no hum, just the black door. It looked calmer, still, like a resting animal pretending to sleep. I held up the stolen badge. My hand was shaking. I hesitated, then swiped. The first scanner lit up green. I stared at it, waiting for something, anything to stop me. Nothing did. I swiped the second. Green. The door made a soft hiss. A steam spilled from the edges. Then, slowly, the door began to slide open. The inside was empty. Just a white room. Clean, bright, perfectly square. No vents, no lights, no furniture. Just white walls that looked like they'd never been touched. But the smell, it hit me like a punch in the gut. Not rot, not mold. Something old, like dust from bones that had never seen sunlight, like air that had been locked away for too long. I stepped inside. My boots echoed with each step. The door shut behind me. Not fast, not loud, just a slow, soft click. I turned around. The scanners were gone. The door was smooth, seamless, like it was never meant to open again. I reached out to touch the wall. That's when I saw it. Black stains. They were subtle, but there, along the edges, creeping like veins across the white surface. Tiny cracks that pulsed, like they were breathing. I backed away, and then I felt it. The air shifted, like the room exhaled. A cold breeze brushed against my neck. I turned in a full circle. Nothing had changed, but I wasn't alone anymore. I don't know how I knew, but I knew. Something was watching me. Not from the walls, not from the corners, from inside me. It felt like a thread had been tied around my spine, pulling. A pressure grew behind my eyes. My heartbeat thudded in my ears. Then came the voice. Not loud, not sharp. Soft, calm, but not mine. You opened it. I staggered back, pressing against the wall. It felt warm, soft, like skin. No, I didn't mean to. You let me see. I looked down. My hands were shaking. The veins under my skin were dark, almost black. You are mine now. I shut my eyes, screamed, pounded on the door. Let me out! Nothing. No answer. No movement. The room didn't even echo. It swallowed sound like a mouth. I don't know how long I was in there. Minutes? Hours? Time stopped meaning anything. I felt like I was floating in place, like I didn't have a body anymore. Then, the door opened. I didn't hear it. It just was. One moment I was staring at white, the next I was back in the hallway. Everything looked the same, but I wasn't. I stumbled out, breath ragged, fell to my knees. The hallway was empty. The scanners were dark again. I crawled back to my room, locked the door, and stared at myself in the mirror. My reflection looked normal, but my eyes, they didn't blink when I did. They blinked a second later, out of sync, like I wasn't the only one behind them anymore. That's when I knew.
I didn't open room 39. It opened for me.
I don't remember falling asleep. I don't even remember crawling into bed. One moment, I was staring into the mirror, watching my own reflection blink wrong. And the next, I was waking up hours later. Cold sweat soaked my sheets. My chest was tight, like something had been sitting on it all night. I looked at the clock on the wall. 6:07 a.m. But I knew that wasn't right. My shift ends at 6, always. The alarm never goes off late. But this time, it hadn't gone off at all. I got dressed fast, heart pounding. Every second felt off. My boots didn't fit right. My uniform smelled like ozone. My fingers were twitching. It was like my body was rejecting me. I opened the door to my room and almost slammed it shut again. The walls were pulsing. Not all of them, just the ones near room 39. I could see them from down the hall. The white metal bulged in and out, and slow and steady, like it was breathing. No one else seemed to notice. Ritter walked by with a clipboard like everything was fine. 2 engineers chatted near the control room. No one looked at the walls. No one saw it. Just me. I wanted to scream, but I stayed quiet. Something had changed since I stepped inside room 39. Something was wrong inside me. Everywhere I went, the air felt thicker. My skin tingled like static. The lights overhead flickered faster when I passed. One even blew out right above me, raining sparks down on my shoulders. I didn't flinch. I couldn't. I felt numb, empty. That night, I skipped dinner. I didn't want to be around anyone. Instead, I went to the bathroom and locked the door behind me. I stared into the mirror again. And this time, the face staring back wasn't just slow to blink. It smiled when I didn't. A long, slow, crooked smile. My face, my eyes, my mouth, but not me. I punched the mirror. Glass shattered everywhere. Blood dripped from my knuckles, but I barely felt it. Behind the cracked glass, my reflection was still smiling. Not broken, not scared, just waiting. I backed away, shaking. I tried to calm myself, told myself it was stress, trauma, lack of sleep, but then I saw the black veins. They were crawling up my arms now, thin lines under the skin, branching like roots, like the ones on the walls of room 39. They weren't just stains. They were alive. I ran to the med bay, tried scrubbing them off, used alcohol, bleach, anything I could find. Nothing worked. I put a scalpel to my arm, tried to cut one out, but the second I touched it, my vision went black. Just for a moment. When it came back, I was back in the hallway, standing in front of room 39 again. No idea how I got there. No memory. Just the sound of breathing from the door. And a voice inside my head that wasn't mine. Don't fight it. You let me in. I staggered backward, slammed into the wall. I wasn't going crazy. I wasn't losing my mind. Something was in me now, and it wanted more. That night, I had a dream, or maybe a memory. I was standing in a room, white walls, black stains, people screaming in the distance. A man in a lab coat stood in front of me. He said, "We thought we could contain it." Behind him, a woman with no eyes screamed as black mist poured from her mouth. The man turned to me. "You're not the first." Then I woke up. There was blood on my pillow. My nose, maybe, or maybe not. I checked the mirror again. My eyes
were different now. One pupil larger than the other. Something was growing inside me. I went to the control room to look for old files. Anything about room 39. Project logs, reports, notes. Most had been deleted, wiped clean. But one file survived, hidden deep in the archives. Experiment 39, subject reactions, red level only. I opened it. Just one video clip, black and white. No sound. A man sat alone in a room. Same room I was in. White walls, black veins. He looked calm at first. Then his face started changing. Not melting, not morphing. Stretching. Like something inside was trying to wear him like a suit. The file cut out before it finished. Below the video was a short note. If exposed, the subject must not be allowed above ground. Risk of spread equals extinction level. I sat back. Bile rose in my throat. They weren't studying room 39. They were using it, feeding it, letting it test new hosts. And now, it was inside me. I don't know how long I've got. Maybe hours, maybe days. But I can feel it now, moving under my skin, watching through my eyes, learning. And the worst of all, it doesn't want to stay hidden anymore. It wants to be free.
I thought it couldn't get worse, but that was before the bunker started changing. Not just the people, not just the walls, everything. It started with the mirrors. I looked into one while brushing my teeth and saw someone behind me. Tall, pale, thin. But when I turned around, no one was there. I laughed, told myself it was my mind playing tricks. But the next night, it happened again. Same figure, closer this time, breathing. Except this time, it didn't disappear when I turned around. It was me. Or it looked like me. Same hair, same uniform, same face. But its eyes were wrong. They were empty, like two holes in the skin stretched too wide. It smiled, too slow, too wide, then blinked out of view like it had never been there. I didn't sleep after that. And then the time loops began. One night, I did my rounds, logged them, checked doors. Nothing weird. I went back to my room, laid down. Next thing I knew, I was back at the start of the shift. Same time on the clock. Same people in the mess hall. The same exact words. I tried to shake it off. But the next night, it happened again. And again. I was reliving the same shift over and over. Except things started changing, just a little. One night, Ritter was missing his left hand. No one said anything. Next loop, Harris was sitting at dinner again. But he was dead. I saw him die. I saw him vanish. And yet, he sat there smiling, mouth twitching like a broken puppet. When I tried to talk to him, his voice was garbled, like a recording played backward. Room. It, too late, inside. Then he stood up and walked into the wall. Not through a door, into the wall. I screamed. No one reacted. Everyone kept eating like nothing happened. That's when I stopped talking to anyone. They weren't real anymore. Or if they were, they weren't fully themselves. Neither was I. I started recording myself, just to see if I was losing it. Set up a voice log, hit record, spoke for a few minutes, then played it back. At first, it was normal. Then, near the end of the recording, I heard it. My voice changed. It dropped lower, got distorted, and said, "Let me in." I didn't say that. I didn't. I replayed it 10 times.
Same thing every time. I checked the camera in my room. During the recording, I never moved my lips, but the voice still came through. That night, I tore the wires out of the microphone, smashed the camera. I didn't want to see what else it would say. The reflections got worse. I'd pass windows, fake ones on the training floor, and see myself already walking past on the other side. Sometimes I wasn't wearing the same clothes. Sometimes I wasn't blinking at all. Once, I saw myself standing still, smiling, and I wasn't smiling in real life, not even close. It was learning, not just copying, becoming me. I started keeping my back to the wall, holding my breath when passing mirrors, turning off screens before they booted up. But even with all that, I could feel it breathing down my neck. One morning, I went to find Ritter. His office door was open. That never happened. I stepped inside. Everything was untouched, clean, desk tidy, chair pushed in. But he was gone, like the air had swallowed him. I checked the camera logs. His feed ended 3 days ago. No exit log, no reassignment notice. No one said a word. Just gone. Another person erased, another empty shell added to whatever this thing was building. I went back to my room and found my reflection already waiting in the mirror, not mimicking me, watching. I stared. It blinked out of sync again, but then it said something. Its mouth moved, and I heard the words in my head, clear and soft. You're already inside. That's when I realized something I had been trying to ignore. I wasn't the only one trapped down here. I wasn't even the first. I was just the next piece, the next part of the thing growing inside room 39. Or maybe outside of it now. Because when I passed that hallway again, the door to room 39 was cracked open. Just an inch. Enough to let something slip out. And I think it already had. That's why the lights flickered every time I entered a room. Why no one acted real anymore. Why time didn't work the way it should. It was unraveling the bunker from the inside. It was spreading. And it was using me to do it.
I used to tell myself I was just being paranoid. That all of this, Room 39, the whispers, the mirrors, it was just stress, isolation, sleep deprivation. But now, I know the truth. I'm not alone anymore. Not in my head, not in my body, and not in this bunker. It started with the elevators. One night, after I logged my rounds, I tried to take the elevator up to the comms level. I swiped my badge, pressed the button. Nothing happened. No light, no sound, no movement. Dead. I tried the backup elevator. Same thing. I hit the call line. Just static. I ran to the stairs. I took the first few steps up, but the stairwell, it kept going, and going, and going. I climbed for over an hour. My legs started burning. My breath got short. But when I looked at the wall beside me, it still said, Sub-level 3. I stopped and sat down. I dropped a coin down the stairwell, listened. No sound. It didn't hit anything, just disappeared. I ran back down, faster this time, desperate. When I got back to the hall, I felt it. I wasn't alone. Something was standing just around the corner. I didn't see it. I didn't hear it. But I felt it. Thick air, cold skin, that pressure in my ears like I was too deep underwater. I turned the corner, fast. Nothing there. Just my own shadow stretched along across the floor. Except it moved before I did. I stepped back. The shadow twitched, then stopped. I didn't wait. I ran. I locked myself in my room, pulled the bed in front of the door, turned off the lights, and listened. For hours. The air vent hummed, the pipes clicked. Then the walls knocked. 3 slow, heavy thuds right behind my bed. I didn't move, didn't blink. The knocks came again. Then the radio crackled. I hadn't used the radio in weeks, not since the admin line went dead. But now it came to life. Static at first, then words. A voice. My voice. Room 39 was never supposed to open. You let it out. I stared at the radio. It wasn't a recording. It was live. Who is this? I asked. No answer. Just a soft laugh. My laugh. Then static and silence. The next day, I found something in the hallway. A journal. Old, leather cover, pages torn and stained. Taped to it was a yellow tag, property of J. Carter, Tech Crew. I didn't know a J. Carter. I opened it anyway. First few pages were just log entries, basic stuff. But then it got weird. Real weird. He wrote about hearing voices near room 39, seeing shadows move, black veins on the walls. It sounded just like me. Every page was worse than the last. He wrote, I think the room is alive. Not just the room. The air, the halls, the lights, all of it. It's feeding on us, copying us. The more we notice it, the stronger it gets. I caught my reflection watching me again. I think it blinked out of sync on purpose. It wanted me to know. Then the last page. Sloppy handwriting. Words barely legible. I'm not me anymore. If you're reading this, it's already inside you too. My hands were shaking by the time I closed the book. I looked at the hallway mirror across from me. My reflection was already staring. Mouth closed. No emotion. Then it smiled. Just a twitch, but it was enough. I dropped the journal. Ran. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I had to move. Had to get away. But you can't outrun something inside you. I reached the comms room. Doors were unlocked, lights off. I hit the emergency broadcast switch, tried to send out a signal. Nothing worked, but the monitor turned on by itself. Black screen, then white text. You brought it out. Then another line. You're not you anymore. I shut the system down. Too late. The lights above me popped. Glass rained down. And in the reflection of the broken panel screen, I saw it, standing behind me. Me. Not twisted, not evil. Just off. My face, my body, but dead eyes. Wrong smile. I spun around. No one was there. Just cold air and humming walls. That was last night. Now, I don't think I'm fully real anymore. Sometimes I see my hands moving before I think to move them. Sometimes I speak
and the voice doesn't sound like mine. Sometimes I blink and see things in the dark. People, faces. The man who went into room 39. Ritter, Harris, Carter, all of them. Watching, waiting, smiling. Because now, I'm not alone anymore. And I don't think I ever was.
I couldn't stay in that bunker any longer. I didn't care about the rules, the clearance levels, the NDA I signed. None of it mattered now. The thing from room 39 wasn't locked up anymore. It was out. It was in the walls. It was in me. So I made a plan. I was going to escape. I waited until night shift started. Most of the others were in their quarters or wandering aimlessly like ghosts. They weren't normal anymore. I don't even know if they were people. Maybe they were like me. Maybe worse. I didn't stop to ask. I headed straight for the control room. That was the heart of the bunker. It managed all access systems, elevators, power, security doors, the comm tower. I figured if I could override the lockdown, maybe I could reach the upper levels, maybe even make it to the surface, or at least get out of sub-level 3. I hacked into the main panel. I'd studied the code for weeks. I knew where the overrides were hidden. I bypassed the safety locks, input the admin codes, flipped the switch. Red lights exploded across the ceiling. Sirens blaring. Lockdown initiated. I froze. That wasn't supposed to happen. I tried to reverse it, typed fast, fingers shaking. Access denied. Override blocked. Then a message appeared across the screen. You can't leave. I stepped back. The sirens stopped. The lights didn't go back to normal, they just turned red. Deep, dark red. Like the bunker was bleeding from the ceiling. The walls creaked. Not the usual hum. They were moving, shifting. Like the place itself was alive now. I ran. Doors started closing behind me as I moved, one after the next, slamming shut with a hiss and a thud, trying to trap me, trying to lead me somewhere. I didn't stop. I turned corners, ducked through hatches, avoided the hall to room 39. But that's when I heard it. My voice, calling from behind one of the locked doors. Help! I'm trapped! Please, don't leave me! It was me. Same voice, same panic, but I wasn't speaking. I stood there, frozen, breathing hard. Please, it begged. I don't want to die in here. I stepped away. No, I whispered. You're not me. The voice changed. Deeper, calmer. Not yet. Then silence. I ran again, heart slamming in my chest. I reached the surface elevator, my last hope. The door was wide open. The panel lit green. Waiting. I stepped inside, pressed the button for the top level. Nothing. The panel blinked. Then the lights inside the elevator shut off. Total darkness. Then, the floor dropped. Fast. Too fast. I felt weightless, like I was falling through nothing. Then, the elevator slammed to a stop. The lights flicked back on. But the panel? It didn't say ground level. It said sub-level 39. My blood turned cold. That level didn't exist. There was no sub-level 39. At least, there shouldn't be. The door opened. I stared out into pure blackness. And then I saw them. Copies.
of me, lining the hallway, each one frozen in different poses, one screaming, one reaching out, one bleeding from the eyes. They were mannequins of myself, twisted, broken, flickering like bad TV static. The one at the front turned its head toward me, its mouth opened wide, and I heard it inside my mind. We are ready. I slammed the elevator button, over and over and over. The door shut just as they all stepped forward. The elevator shot back up. I collapsed to the floor, shaking, sobbing, whispering to myself, I was never meant to find that floor. No one was. And now that I had, there was no going back. When the door opened again, I was back in the regular hall. The lights were normal. The walls weren't bleeding. But everything still felt wrong. I made my way back toward my room, or tried to. But now the halls were different, longer, bending in directions they shouldn't bend. I turned left at the mess hall and ended up at the same intersection that I just walked from. I tried to map it. No use. The bunker had changed. Or maybe I had. I found Ritter. He was standing in front of room 39, eyes blank, hands at his side. I stepped toward him. Ritter? No answer. I touched his shoulder. He turned to face me, slow, robotic. Then whispered, "You opened it. You're not real." I backed away. He pulled a gun from his belt, pointed it at my head. "Say something only you would know." I don't know." "What?" "Prove it," he hissed. "Prove you're still in there." I couldn't, because maybe I wasn't. Maybe I was just another copy, another version, another mistake. He pulled the trigger. Click. Empty. We both stared at each other. And then he ran. Disappeared down the corridor. I didn't follow. I sat down in the middle of the hallway, and for the first time since I came to this place, I stopped pretending I'd make it out. Because this wasn't just a bunker anymore. It was a cage. And I wasn't a prisoner. I was the infection.
I went back. I had to. Whatever was happening in the mirrors, in the walls, in my skin, it all started with room 39. I thought maybe if I stood in front of it again, I could understand, stop it, end it. But when I got there, it was gone. No door, no scanners, no number. Just smooth, seamless wall, like nothing had ever been there. For a moment, I stood frozen. Had I imagined it all? Had I finally lost every last thread of reality? Then, I saw the mirror. Exactly where room 39 used to be. A single, full-length mirror set into the wall like it had always belonged there. No frame, no glass seams, just a perfect reflection, waiting. But it wasn't just a reflection of me. Inside the mirror were others, thousands of them, all me, screaming, crying, laughing with mouths stretched too wide, bleeding from the eyes, melting into the floor, merging with something black and endless and wrong. Some of them were still. Some of them were staring directly at me. And one was smiling. That one stepped forward, pressed its hand against the inside of the mirror, so I did the same. A perfect match. And I felt it. Warm, alive, hungry. That's when it hit me.
Room 39 was never a room. It was a threshold, a veil, a skin-thin prison, a door not just through space, but through identity. It didn't hold a monster, it held a shape, an idea, a parasite. It learns, it copies, and it waits. Waits for someone to open the door and be seen. Because once it sees you, you're already part of it. You don't leave room 39, you become room 39. I staggered back from the mirror. My reflection didn't move. It stayed there, hand raised, watching. And then the others behind it moved too, like a wave of versions of me rising in unison, like they'd all been waiting. They were, because I was just another vessel now, just another doorway, a mouth waiting to speak, a voice waiting to spread, and I could feel it, inside my blood, behind my eyes, shifting, trying to become something else, something more, something complete. I backed away, turned, ran down the corridor, but I could still feel the pull, not behind me, inside me, growing, changing. I thought I had opened a room, but I had opened something else entirely. I had opened myself.
If you're reading this, if this message somehow got out, then maybe a part of me is still left, a part that remembers who I used to be. My name, it doesn't matter anymore. Even I barely remember it. But I remember what I did. I remember what I let out. I opened the door. I broke the rule. And now, I'm writing this because it's the only proof that I was ever real, that I ever existed as anything other than this. This isn't a story. This is a confession. It started with whispers, shadows, small things. Then it took the reflections, the voices, my memories. Then it took me. I don't know how much time I have left. Not before I die. That would be too easy. Time before I'm gone. Before it finishes taking me. Sometimes, when I speak, I hear it in the words. When I write, I can feel it in the spaces between letters. It watches my thoughts, waiting for a moment of weakness, of silence, of forgetting who I am. But this message, this is mine. I'm sealing what's left of myself in these words. If I can't stop it, maybe I can warn you. Maybe that means something. Here's what you need to understand. Room 39 was never a room. It was a mask, a mirror, a door into identity. And once you see it, it sees you. And once you hear it, you let it in. The shape behind the door. It doesn't kill you. It becomes you. It takes your voice, your movements, your memories. And the sickest part, it doesn't erase you. It keeps you awake, just buried, watching. I've seen the others, the ones who came before me. They left journals, scribbled notes, blood-scrawled warnings. They screamed into dead comm lines and punched mirrors and clawed at their own skin, hoping to peel it away before it took over. They're still here, in the walls, in the dark, inside me. Sometimes, late in the shift, I hear them whispering behind my heartbeat. Stop it! Burn it! Seal the door! But it's too late for that now. The door isn't there anymore, because I am the door. This body, this voice, this message, it's just another way in. I feel it now, stretching through my thoughts, uncoiling like smoke behind my eyes. Every word I write feels like it's being co-written by something that knows how I think, how I feel, how you will read this. And maybe that's the point. Maybe it wants you to read this. Maybe that's how it spreads, through understanding, through recognition, through empathy, through stories. So listen to me. One last thing. The only thing that matters now. Don't open it again. Seal it. Bury it. Forget my name. Forget this place. Forget me. Because I'm not me anymore. I haven't been for a long time. This message is just a dying signal, a flare from the last corner of myself I can still control, a snapshot before the shutter closes. I don't know what I'll be tomorrow, but it won't be me. I'm slipping. The reflections don't blink anymore. They just stare. The voice I hear when I speak, it isn't mine. And sometimes when I close my eyes, I see the mirror, and all the other versions of me smile. I'm tired. So tired. This is all I can give. A warning. A whisper. A name no longer mine. If you found this, if you're reading this, if something inside you is still human, please, don't